Hey guys, today I'm going to be updating you on my personal Pokemon collection in 2025. The last time I did one of these was over a year ago, and I get a lot of questions about what I'm currently collecting, especially in today's crazy market. So we're going to go through everything I have. We're going to be using the collector app to help us add everything at the end of the video. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be curious about the slab displays I have on the wall. If you know, they are my own product. We are releasing a brand new version today on Amazon. It is the 9-slot Slab Lab display, but we'll have a little bit more details later. Now that that's all out of the way, let's start with the video. So starting off over here is kind of like my store vibe. You got the counter, you got the wall with the blisters. It's kind of the scene I was going for, just like a mini card shop in my own room. So we have on the left some non-Pokemon. These are the World Championship Bear Walker skateboards, as well as my play button, silver play button YouTube, thanks to you guys. Here is my blister wall. This one's I've been working on for many years, but now I would say every single one of these packs are quite pricey. I grew up, of course, with the EX era. These are some of the more expensive ones I have, starting off with Ruby, Sapphire, Sandstorm, Emerald. All those packs are many hundreds of dollars. I try to get like one of each art set if possible. Then if you go up a little bit, we have some of the more middle era black and white, hard gold, soul silver. It's hard to value the sleeved ones because they go for a little bit more than the booster packs by themselves. A lot of these sets are pretty rare when it comes to sleeved copies compared to like a loose booster pack. Plasma Blast, for example, is like a, I don't know, $80 booster pack, but that single sleeve pack cost me like $300 by itself. I just kind of like how they look. It does really give off a store vibe. These double crisis blisters I've had for like a year or two. Those are about $2,000 each, over $2,000. As far as just specifically the blisters and stuff, I'm not too sure. If I had to guess, maybe around 50, 60,000 or so. But the booster boxes right over here, these are some of my favorite sets. You have Cosmic Eclipse, Primal Clash, Unified Minds, XY Base, and Team Up. I tried to get all the tag team sets, missing Unbroken Bonds, but these are just some kind of those middle era sets that were at the time not too unreal. Like Team Up right now is almost $10,000, which is insane. I got a lot of Evolutions boxes down there, 5, I believe. Yeah, 5 of those. Evolving Skies, that's kind of like the new age Team Up. It's super expensive, $2,500 right now. A couple of Burning Shadows, I think 6 total. I've had these for a while and they've all just kind of went up. Burning Shadows is like $1,300. What else? Roaring Skies, I heard, was like $4 grand. Crazy numbers. The ETBs, these are my two favorite ETBs right here. Phantom Forces and Primal Clash. I'm a really big Kyogre fan, as you guys can tell over there. And Phantom Forces just is a really cool theme going for it. Phantom Forces right now is like $5,000. Primal Clash, I think, is around 3 or so. And then the graded games you've seen before, I don't think they've changed too much. Wada 8, Leaf Green, and Sapphire. They should go for about $3,000 for the pair. And they're just the two childhood games I grew up with, so I like to keep those copies. On the right shelf, I have the Japanese booster boxes I've gotten from a few collections and I've kept. So right over here, there's an XY Break. I think that goes for maybe $1,700. I have 2 of those. I have 4 Japanese Shining Legends. Those might go for about $1,500, $2,000, I'm not too sure. And then CP6, one of the most popular. It's the Japanese version of Evolutions. That one's going crazy right now, like $3,000, $4,000. And then some of these smaller ones, like, honestly, I don't even know the names of some of them, but there's like Dream League, that one's a nice one. These two right here, it's like the Burning Shadows and I believe Roaring Skies equivalent. Those are expensive boxes. Right here in the middle, you might be wondering what this is, if I can take it out. This is actually all the booster packs that I've gotten from the Poncho boxes I've opened. And then in the back, I have some Team Up booster packs. They're straight from a tin, nothing tampered with or anything. Not too sure what I'll do with these. I planned on opening them, but they just look so cool for the memories. And then at the very bottom, you just have some more, well, I guess, Evolving Skies booster box. So I have 7 in total. Some Team Up pre-release build and battle kits. That blue box right there is actually Chinese Legend Maker. I have another box I'll show you. I have 2 of those. And then everything down there is more modern, regular, like Stellar Crown, Paradox Rift, Scarlet Violet booster boxes, nothing crazy there. If you're wondering how I'm going to figure out the value of my collection at the end, I'm going to be inputting everything into the Collector app. It's basically a portfolio app that lets you add your entire collection, slab, single, sealed, that you can keep track over time, see how well you do. It's super streamlined. It's completely for free, but there's also a pro membership which has additional features. My favorite one being the unlimited use of their scanner, which is top of the notch. I'll give you an example right here. All you have to do is scan really quickly. So like boom, 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 boom. Just like that, I added 5 graded cards that are already there. You add it into your portfolio. You can have different portfolios. They also do some giveaways. It's a great community, guys. I highly recommend it. If you're interested in it, there's a link in the bio to download as well. Thank you to Collector for being a sponsor of today's video. Let's get back into it. I don't even know what you want to call it. Retail case. So Andy here, I grew up on EX era. That was my childhood. So I have one of every single EX booster box. Now they're all empty because of course the real ones would probably, I don't know, $1 million in the booster boxes alone. So these are actually still pretty pricey for empty boxes, but I think they just look really, really nice. A couple $1,000s for just those by themselves. I actually recently got these boxes as well as that card. So I'll show you guys this right here. If you don't know, is a trophy Kangaskhan. There's no real sales for like this, so it's a very niche card. Probably one of the more expensive ones that I own. And then I also picked up black and white, a bunch of black and white and XY boxes. So Next Destinies, Legendary Treasures, Phantom Forces. This one is like $13,000 right now. One of the most, if not the most expensive XY booster box on the market. Black and white base and then black and white emerging powers. If I had to estimate, I would say these is like 8,000. This one's like 5,000. Legendary Treasures is super hot right now. There's no listings and there's no really recent sales. Next Destiny is probably like 8,500 or so. I have a first edition base set booster box, also empty, and it's a little sun faded. I picked that up in Orlando. I paid like $500 for it, which is pretty expensive for an empty box, but I thought it would make for good content and it still looks pretty nice in the case. Here is a couple of the black labels in Pokemon that I own. So you have the Japanese, because it's a lot easier to get Japanese and English. Japanese Bulbasaurs that I've got. I got this many, many years ago, and then someone brought me this at a show and I picked it up. On the left here, I have the Empoleon Black Label Battle Styles. This is actually one of my favorite alt arts, and I think it's Pop 4. The guy that I bought it from had 2 of them. I tried to get both, but one of them sold. So I picked that up for $2,600 or something like that. It should be a little bit more now in today's market, maybe $3,000 plus. And then my favorite Empoleon, the Plasma Freeze PSA 10. I think I paid $3,000 or $4,000 for this one. I can't remember, but they're going for a little bit more now. I missed the opportunity to pick one up for like $1,300 last year, but that's kind of the story for everyone these days. Zoom out, continuing on my EX train, I have some PSA 10 graded booster packs. If you guys have watched before, I got a lot of these over a year ago at LA Collecticon. They were the old style booster packs and I regraded them myself. You have the e-readers right here. Expedition and Aquapolis I got along with EXs, but this Skyrange booster pack I graded myself. So I was pretty happy to get that trio in. I recently got this First Ed Neo Discovery booster pack with the Umbreon art. I'm not a biggest fan of like the Neo sets, but Umbreon's cool, the pack art was cool, and I got it at a pretty good trade. So I was happy to that. And then I got the Plasma Blast Shining Legends. Also, kind of mid-era cool cards. They weren't too expensive. It was like $100 and like $150. So you can't really go wrong with that. These booster packs are pretty hard to value. If I had to guess, I would say like $1,000 each for the EX ones. And then the e-reader one should be at least $2,000. Skyridge is probably around $2,500, the most expensive. So that kind of adds up those. Let's see, in the back I have the 2019 collector's chest. There's the one that came with the armored Mewtwo, and then I have another leaf green graded copy. That one's a CGC 9.2, goes for about, I don't know, $1,750 or so. Going down one more row, I just have some extra seal that didn't fit on my wall. We have the Evolutions ETB pair. I think that goes for about $1,000 or so. Chinese Umbreon, probably a couple $100. On this bottom row, we have some EX reverse holos that are pretty cool trios. So starting over here, we have the Flygon line, Vibrava Trap Inch. That one's pretty cool from Legend Maker. And then the first one I ever made was this one right here, Ralts Curlia and Gardevoir EX. I picked these two up at Card Party 2024. Now these sets are kind of hard to value. If I had to guess, Flygon's probably around 2,500. The Gardevoir a little bit more, I would say maybe 3,000 or so. This one is pretty niche too. It's Crystal Guardians Ludicolo, not a very popular Pokemon, but Lotad, Lombre, Ludicolo. This one's actually a pretty hard card to find just in general. So the fact that I was able to get in a PSA 10 was cool, and then I happened to have those two extra. Similar story over here. I just picked up this X-Bloud, and it is a Pop 1. There's only one of these in the world, and I don't have many Emerald reverses, but I happen to already have Whismur and Loudred. So this one's probably one of my more cooler trios that I have. Coming on over here is the Ruby Sapphire. These are the Final Evolution starters, Swampert, Blaziken, Sceptile. I just recently got this Swampert for $1,100. Blaziken, I think I either paid $1,000 or $1,500, and Sceptile was like $500. But this was like kind of before the boom for those two. If I had to say, probably about $5,000 for this trio right here. I'm sure someone would be willing to pay that. And then finally, I just got this Feraligatr in like 2-3 days ago. The Unseen Forces Final Evolutions. The Feraligatr is the most expensive, it was like $1,000. Typhlosion's like $800. Meganium was probably like, I don't know, $500 or so. But if I were to sell a set, it's probably like $3,000 for that set. And then the bottom row, we have a sealed Pokemon stamp box. Very popular card. I just got this one. A lot of these cards I kind of just got. And I had a BGS 10 and I picked up the Black Label in Vegas. So I just swapped it out. This card goes for about $5,500. And the stamp box probably goes for like $2K sealed. On the right is the very popular Charizard Game Art promo, PSA 10. I just sold one of these for $4,600. And I had the booklet that came with it. I've had that booklet for years when this card was like $800 in a 10. I've kept it all this time, and now that I have both, I just kind of figured it'd be a cool pair. In the back, you have some Fire Red, Leaf Green themed decks. Those probably go for like $100, $200 each. And the bottom middle, the Piece de Resistance, probably the most expensive sealed products I own. I have one pair left of the Mario Luigi boxes. I haven't checked market on them recently, but I do know the PSA 10s go for quite the hefty sum. If I had to say, I'd say it's about 25, 30,000 for some sealed boxes right now, maybe like 15 and 10 or like 20 and 10, so something like that. 25, 30,000 for those. The Alolan Vulpix box goes for a couple $1,000s too. These have half art. Poncho Vulpixes. Generations has been going on an absolute climb. This Generations box is over $1,500, maybe like $2,000 these days. I've had that one for a while. I really like the design. And then finally for my display case, we have the two Pitches Pikachu sealed promo PSA 10s. One of them is Pop 1 and then the other one's Pop 2. So it's like the only sealed pack graded copy in the world. It's pretty cool. I think it looks neat with the giant slab. So kept those in the corner as well. It looks nice and nifty as like, again, storefront vibes when you come here. I really like it. This other showcase has my non-Pokemon. I'll go through that at the end because I know most of y'all are here for the Pokemon stuff. And also you cannot forget my Lego Bulbasaur life size I got from Bricker Builds. That thing was like $1,300. Came with the glass and stuff, but it was pretty cool. But let's go on to the slab wall. As I mentioned before, guys, we are launching a new product called the Slab Lab display. We've had some previous versions before. This is our new updated 9-slot display for PSA and CGC slabs. It is available now on Amazon. The link will be in the description below, but it's super simple. They're very sleek, very sturdy. They come with screw holes for you to put on the wall. All you have to do is slide in your slab, push it in, voila, it's stuck, ready to display. If you ever want to change it out, all you have to do, press the top, it'll pop right out for you to switch out and put wherever you want. Super simple, very intuitive. It's the perfect way to showcase your collection. So if you're interested, again, guys, the link will be in the bio. It really does help out the channel, and I'm proud to make a product that I think everyone will enjoy. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at SlabLab Displays for future giveaways, and we have new products coming for collectors and vendors alike that are changing the game, so stay tuned for that. But thank you guys for your support as always. Let's get back to the video. All right, so starting on the slab wall, top left over here, I'm starting off with some EX holos, the regular holos. I'm trying to finish some sets. So the first one you guys will see is EX Dragon, Absol, Altaria, all those. I think each one's about $500 on average. There's 12 of them. So, let's just call it an even $5 round down a little bit. On the right next to it is EX Ruby Sapphire holos. I'm missing a couple more of those. The most expensive ones from this one's gotta be Swampert and Blaziken. Those go for about $1,500 each. And then the other ones range anywhere from like $200 to $400. If I had to guess right now, the couple of those I have is probably about also like $5,000, $6,000. It's a little bit more expensive than Dragon. And then one more holo set on the right is the EX Team Magma versus Team Aqua. I got this last year for $2,000 something, but I know for sure that the Kyogre and the Groudon go for a couple thousand by themselves. So that set's definitely gone bonkers, like 5K plus. Right over here, we did a live stream where we let you guys, the community, invest $10,000. And these are all the cards that they picked. Bulbasaur, Armored Mewtwo, you got another Mewtwo. So this one was very unique. Spiky-eared Pichu. That one's a super unique one that I didn't realize existed until someone bought it. 2 Bubble Mews, the English one's going crazy right now. Same with the stamp promo. And the most expensive card we bought at the time was the Eevee Munch. So we bought all this and a couple of sealed items that I don't have displayed for 10K. And now it's doing really good. It's like 15,000 or so. So that one's doing really nice. Over here, we have some Kyogre cards and some Latios cards. Now this Latios full art's going for a couple $1,000 right now with the Mega Boom. But at the time I paid like $300 for it, but it's going for like maybe 3,000 now. Everything else is relatively cheap. The Kyogres are more so just, well, besides these two, these probably go for another 1,000 or two. And then, sorry, this one, the Hidden Legends, that one's also about 1,500. But everything else, like the Amazing Rares, Japanese Amazing Rares, is like 50 bucks at best. On the right next to it is more EX holos now. These are not the reverses, these are the regular holos. Latios, Holland Phantoms, Omastar. I kind of just like getting the ones that were cheap, but also like completing sets. So I picked up those Deoxys quad sets for like maybe under $1,500 at the time. They should be going for a lot more now, maybe like 4,000, like 1,000 each. And then this Rayquaza was very, very expensive. I think I paid 400. I wouldn't be surprised if it's over 1,000 now, but they're all pretty cool. I am more of a fan of the reverse holos. And then speaking of, now we'll get into those. Actually, well, let me get into these first. So it's a Skyridge. I'm a big Skyridge fan. It's probably the only WotC set that I really enjoy, the e-reader of those. I have the almost complete PSA 9 sets. The only one I'm missing is I think it's a Dugong? I think it's Dugong I'm missing. I just put in one of my Umbreon extras that I have here. And then I technically have an Arcanine, but it's a PSA 8.5, not a 9. Those are the only two I'm missing. So complete set, PSA 9 over there. And then this bottom row, just to fill out the space, these are Bulbasaur cards that people have given me at the shows. Let's now get into a couple of the EX reverses. I have a bigger wall all along over there after the Bulbasaur portion. Just to give you guys a little bit of a sample. Well, once upon a time, they were very, very cheap. Crazy boom just happened, and a lot of them kind of just went from 100 to 400 or like 400 to like 2,000. Because I grew up with these Pokemon, I like them. I like the art, and it's simple, but it's beautiful in its own way. Some of them are like super, super rare. And even though they're kind of Pokemon that aren't popular, I think just the rarity part of it is kind of why I liked them. Now they're so expensive that I kind of slowed down picking them up. But when they were like $50 or so, you really couldn't pass them up. I want to say on average, at least in this market, $100 each, if not more. Some are a couple $100. I know this Jinx is like 400 bucks. All right, moving on to my Bulbasaur collection. I've had this completed for quite some time now. Up at the top, some playing cards, as well as the Japanese sealed ass graffiti, and then some more Japanese cards all the way up at the top. There are some pretty cool Japanese exclusive Bulbasaurs, mainly right here. So you have the Gym Challenge promo. This one was the 10th anniversary. And the last one I picked up was the Erica's Bulbasaur, which is a Korokoro promo as well. The McDonald's Bulbasaur is a shame because out of the starters, it was the only one that did not receive a holo pattern. So it's a lot cheaper, but it would have been pretty cool if that one was a holo as well. I have the entire 1 through 10 set of base set Shadowless, so 1 through 5 here, and then 1 through 10, as well as a couple of the regular base set Shadowless and Legendary Collection. First edition base set Bulbasaur is still the most expensive out of the trio. These are the EX era of commons, not the holos. These are the non-holo versions. So nothing too crazy. They're all about maybe $100 each. And now going down, we're starting with the holos. So I have a CGC Pristine, Team Magma Aqua Holo, Legendary Collection Bulbasaur Reverse. This one took forever to find, and I think is my most expensive card right now. An auction just ended for like almost $6,000, which is crazy. One of the more expensive Legendary Collection Reverses just in general out of the entire set. Bulbasaur from Expedition. This one's like $500 or so. This one is a lower pop, harder to find. I paid $1,000 for this over a year ago, so this one's probably worth like $2,000 now. My favorite Bulbasaur of all time, Fire Red, Leaf Green, PSA 10. It's a little bit higher pop now. I think it's like 12 or 13 or so. I do have 2 of them. The other Fire Red Leaf Green Bulbasaur sells pretty often, I should say, for like $600-700-ish. They're all so expensive now. I got a bunch of copies of these for like $150-200. Same story with the Crystal Guardians. These are going for anywhere from $500 to $900. I got a couple of those. I'll show you all my duplicates later, but those are pretty cool. And then the last expensive EX reverse I have is, of course, the Ditto Delta Species. This one's got a lot of things going for it. It's a Delta Species, it's Bulbasaur, and it's a Ditto. So it kind of, it appeals to a wider audience than just Bulbasaur fans. And then now we have some more modern cards. Stellar Crown, I think objectively is the best Bulbasaur art, but because it's so new, gotta appreciate the older stuff, but it just looks great. 151 Bulbasaur, and then back to some more promos. This one is the Shining Legends General Mills. It came in like a cereal pack. I was missing this for the longest time, and a kind gentleman gave this to me raw at a show, and it looked really clean, so I graded it and I got it 10. So super happy and thankful for that. Thank you to him for just giving it to me. Super nice. It shares the same artwork as the regular Shining Legends. Down here we got the Best Buy regular reverse holo collector's edition Detective Pikachu promo. This one took a while for me to find too. It's got the stamp on it, and then now we're just into duplicates. So I got a couple extra Crystal Guardians of each. I have 4 more of that single Expedition reverse Bulby, 2 more of the Fire Red Leaf Green, and then 2 more Ditto Delta. Actually, I have a couple more over there, Delta Species. Over here we have Venture Bomb. This one's a reverse holo, and it has Bulbasaur and Torchic, my 2 favorite starters. So I got 2 of those. But then on the bottom here, Stellar Crown Bulbasaur PSA 10. They're pretty common, and whenever I get them at a show, I just keep it because I think they look really cool. I have, I don't know, 10 of these. They go for like 150, 160 bucks or so. This last section of Bulbasaurs are the same cards, just lower grades that I used to have when I first started my Bulbasaur collection, and then I slowly upgraded to the 10s. So all in all, the Bulbasaur collection, I remember I quoted it, and it was $14,000 last year. So with the Bulbasaur Legendary Reverse being 6 by itself, and a lot of those reverses being, you know, 5 to 1,000, I would be pretty comfortable in saying that the entire set goes for 30,000. It got to be at least double, if not more. I'll put the actual value for you guys up there. And now we're going to look at the rest of the EX reverse holos that I have. So I'll go through. Some of them are super expensive, some of them are super cheap. Kind of tried to sort them through sets, but because I still pick some up every now and then, it's hard to keep up with it. So I have the Crystal Guardians all the way up there. Most of them are, again, like $100 to $200 or so. Crystal Guardians is one of my favorite sets because it combines both the Kanto and Hoenn Pokemon. Right here, this Squirtle is one of the more rarer copies. That one goes for maybe 2,000 plus or so. Charmander, I paid $1,000 for. I have 2 of the Crystal Torchics that I paid 500, but those go for like over 1,000 now. So these are some of the more expensive ones. If it's a reverse of like a starter or popular Pokemon in this market, it's going to command a pretty sizable premium, or if it's like super low pop. So far, the Crystal Guardians are some of the more expensive ones, just because the Pokemon that I like happen to also be the pricier versions, but I kind of just want to go through and show you. I put in some Van Gogh Pikachus just to fill the wall for the video. Right here is Fire Red Leaf Green. I finally finished the starter trio. There's 2 of each starter in Fire Red Leaf Green. Again, like I said, that was my favorite one. One of these Charmanders I lost in a double or nothing coin flip, 0 or 600, and now it's worth like over 1,000, so that's fine. This Squirtle I paid $1,400 for. Very, very expensive. I think the last public sale was like $1,100, and there hasn't been any since. So it should still be at least 14, if not more, like 2K. Same with these. I would say this one's about $1,000 right now. And then, yeah, minimum 1,000 for the popular ones. I know this one goes for anywhere from like 600-700. And then I have a duplicate of one of the Charmanders. I have an Ivysaur and then another duplicate of one of the Squirtles. I just like having duplicates now because if I ever do decide to sell, at least I'll have one copy for myself. And at one point, I wanted to get every single Fire Red Leaf Green reverse, but it's impossible because some of them don't exist in PSA 10 and some of them are like pop 1 or 2 I'll never find. So I kind of gave up on that. Just trying to get as many as I can whenever they come my way, if it's a reasonable price. Fire Red Leaf Green set. Well, actually, I'll tell you guys the entire reverses at the end. Let's go to the next column. All the way up there, you have Unseen Forces. The ones I have right there aren't too valuable. Besides like Chikorita and the Jinx, I believe the Jinx was pop 5, and I had 2. I sold one of them for like $500. This is getting into the Emerald area. Emerald's pretty cool too. I don't have too many. The Power Keepers, the Blaziken I got for super cheap over a year ago. I think I paid like 100 or $200 for that one, and that one's going for over 1,000 now, if I had to guess. Delta Species has a regular reverse powdered, so nothing too crazy, but they do have the evolutions, which are super expensive. I wanted to get the holo and reverse holo of each one, but it's just so expensive. Actually, for I believe the Vaporeon reverse, I did a double or nothing 0 or 1,000 and I lost that, so I paid 1,000, but now it's worth more than that, so it paid off long term. I'm missing both the Umbreons. I'm missing the Jolteon holo and then the Flareon reverse holo, and I just filled those in with some extra cards I had. I don't know if I'll be able to finish it anytime soon. The Umbreons are going for like 5K or so in reverse, so quite expensive. I might end up just selling that all because I don't like having the super expensive ones. Here we have the Ditto Delta Species. They be doing Bulbasaur dirty in all the sets because there's 2 Squirtles, there's 2 Charmanders, but they only have 1 Ditto. There's 2 Pikachus too, but they only have 1 Bulbasaur, so got the Bulbasaur, of course, got both Squirtles. I have 1 of the Charmanders. I'm missing this one, number 37. I have that in a 9, and I have 1 of the Pikachus in a 9. I'm missing both of those, as well as, I know there's a Geodude, but then I have the regular Ditto, and then the Mr. Mime Ditto in a 10. So eventually I'll find those, but those are pretty popular, and they've gone up as well. Zooming out a little bit, we got some Legend Makers. These are pretty cool too. None of these were very expensive at all. Last row I got over there, Holland Phantoms. That one's a pretty sick set. I think I have the most Holland Phantoms out of every other set. These are some nice ones. Latios, I have. The Latios is super expensive. I wanted to pair it, but it goes for like a couple $1,000s. Latios itself is also probably a couple $1,000 as well. Yeah, I do have the Star You Star Me. I just picked these up for a couple $100. Thought that was a pretty cool pair. Those are Deoxys. Deoxys also has a very nice pattern. It's like the triangles or umbrellas. Then we have some Team Rocket Returns. Those really spiked up because of the Destined Rivals release. So those were very expensive for quite a long time. Some of them, I paid $350 for this one just to bail someone out. I don't even think it's worth that anymore. And then last but not least, Hidden Legends. I have some goodies there. But that's all of the EX reverse holos I have. All of them, the whole wall combined, anywhere from 40 to 50,000 for all of them. And a lot of the value is in a couple big ones, but a majority of them are at least 100, 200 bucks range. Now we're moving on, still in the EX era, but we're at the EX cards themselves, the silver border EX holo rares. Some of the most cool cards that, you know, in my opinion, you could get. And I completed the set finally, every single PSA 9, including the promo. So I'll go through, I have them ordered by set. I just really like how the silver borders look and the fact that you can get the swirls and holos. Some of them, like Fire Red, Leaf Green, and some Hidden Legends have the cracked ice holo, which is super cool. I'll show you guys right there. Those are nice, but again, can't go wrong with the regular swirl holos. A lot of these have exploded in value. The most expensive one is probably like, I would say like Rocket's Mewtwo EX down here. Gengar, Charizard, Fire Red, Leaf Green. Those are sick as well. What else? Unseen Forces, you have the Umbreon, the Lugia, if I can find it, Lugia, Espeon. It's all really nice. Oh, and then of course the Snorlax up there from Team Rocket Returns is top 3 Snorlax art for me. I know in a 10 that goes for over 10K. Finally, we have the promos. So the Armaldo EX is from Pop Series 1. There's no 10s in existence, and in Pop 9, it's super low pop. I paid $1,000 or so a year ago. So only imagine it should be higher now, like 2K plus, if there's even any public sales. Same with the Ho-Oh, paid like $800-900. That one's pretty hard to find as well. Tyranitar EX in a 10 goes for well over $10,000. Each one of these is, at this point, over $1,000. And then you have the Black Star promos. These 2 tins I recently sold for, I think they're like $600 each, and they used to be like $150. This was the last card I needed to finish my set. It's a hard card to find. I paid 400 bucks for it. It probably goes for a little bit more than that now. And then the last trio of the Black Star promo birds, PSA 9, those also go for a couple $100. Now the entire PSA 9 EX set market value is $65,000 currently. When I first started it, it was $20,000. And then in the last video, I think it was like 35,000 or so. So almost doubled since then. It's a great pick. I'm glad I liked it. To keep, I'm trying to literally get every single silver border type card. So after that, we have the primes. These are also very cheap at the time. Some of these were literally like $40. And then like Mew was like 60 bucks. I don't think they really caught up in value. Some of them did, like the Espeon, the Umbreon, those went up, the Gengar. But a lot of them are still like 100 bucks and under, partially because they're not a very popular Pokemon. I'm missing a couple, and if I'm missing some, I kind of like slot in a PSA 8. You can't really tell the difference. I think there's 28 of them total. The most expensive being the Gengar, the Umbreon, and then Espeon would be like the third one. These promos on the bottom are pretty hard to find in a 9, so those are pretty pricey as well. All of the primes probably is like less than 10,000, I would say, in a PSA 9. Now we got the Level X. These cards, silver borders, same deal. These are the Diamond and Pearl. I've come a long way since the last video, filled a lot of holes. I'm still missing a couple. Now, when you want to talk about explosion in value, these have surpassed the EX in terms of multiplicity. For example, this Glaceon, Leafeon, the Majestic Dawn set went from like $300-400 to almost $3,000. So in a 9, I could only imagine what the 10s go for. A lot of them are catching up. They're just super cool. Mid-era, you got the swirl action. Same thing with the EXs going for it than the Level Xs. So I just picked this up. I paid like $700-800 for Alakazam in a 9, which is insane. That's kind of like what a 10 used to go for. Snorlax, I said the Team Rocket Returns was top 3. This is also in there. Probably my favorite one. And then I have this, they never made this one in English, so I put it up there. It's the Pikachu Level X, Japanese PSA 10. Gengar Level X is also one of the more expensive ones. Arceus the Rayquaza from Supreme Victors as well. So a lot of the cards here, it's just like cool art plus cool style plus cool Pokemon equals extreme premium. A lot of these cards have, again, exploded in value. I think all of the level X's combined is 35,000 or so, if I'm not mistaken. And then after that, the last set of the silver border stuff is the Call of Legends Legendaries. PSA 9, these also went up a lot in value. So now we're moving on to what I consider like the original tag teams, but it's technically 2 cards. You have the Legend Halves. PSA 10s are extremely expensive, so I went for the PSA 9 set, which again is still pretty hard to find. I know the Lugia in a PSA 10 apparently goes for like 15-20K. In a 9, I picked these up for like 500 bucks. It probably goes for a couple $1,000s now. I did get at Card Party a set of PSA 10 Palkia Dialga Legends for a couple $1,000s. I'm missing the Ho-Oh sets. And then I am missing the top of Raikou and Suicune. Other than that, I'll be finished. It'll be a pretty cool set. Down here, I have the Crystal Guardians PSA 10 set. Just like last time, I have not touched it. I'm still missing the Swampert and the Loudred. I paid like $4,000 for this set, and they probably goes for almost 7, 8, if not 9. Venusaur Legendary Collection Reverse, I picked up for $1,500. That thing has like 4 or 5x. It goes for well over 5,000-6,000 now. A little Magikarp section here. Some of the reverse hauls. So we have Legendary Collection Reverse, Fire Red, Leaf Green Reverse, and then the Expedition and Skyrid. Those go for a couple $1,000 right there. So I have some more reverse holos, but these are some EX era and then some Skyridge. So a lot of these I graded myself if it was the Skyridge ones. I sent in a whole master set, so this entire row I graded myself. The Gengar I graded myself. That one is worth like $3,000 now. Nothing here is super crazy besides the Gengar. And then we have Gold Stars. I started off doing a PSA 1 set, if you guys remember in the last video. And then I was almost done with that, so I upgraded to PSA 8s because 9s and 10s were a little bit too pricey. I thought that back then, now even more so. Even 8s are insane. I'm actually thinking about selling the 8s and then going back to the ones I have. So for the 8s, we have the entire Deoxys set, Latios, Latios, and the Rayquaza. This one's beautiful. I don't know, look at that. It's got a perfect mouth swirl right there. I just sold another copy for $18,500. Or a PSA 8, so that one's probably over 20K. You have the Pop Series Espeon. I think I graded that myself. I actually don't remember. And I had a CGC 8.5 Umbreon. I don't have the Torchic in an 8. I have it in a 9. Also with a beautiful swirl right there, as well as 2 PSA 1s. Someone told me these go for $3,400 each in a 1, which is insane. Gold Stars are such a crazy price right now. That's why I'm considering selling them, because I have the 1s. Might as well keep the 1s and then sell the 8s for extra cash ola. And then the Vaporeon Trio Power Keepers. I got this one, is very unique. It's a PSA 1.5, so kind of technically counts as a 1, but I did have the trio of 1s still. The only one I have in an 8 is a Jolteon, a couple other 1s as well. All the Gold Stars, I think is like $80,000. Right here, yeah, the Rayquaza 1. This one goes for like $4,000. Also insane. So now we're going to go back into Skyridge. I have the Crystal. This was an 8 as a placeholder. My goal is to get all of them in a 10, but because of the price increases, I'm missing the Kabutops and the Crobat in a 10, as well as the Ho-Oh, actually. Those are insane, but we do have the Celebi. That one's got a nice swirl. Pick that up for like 2K. The Charizard is, besides the Kangaskhan, probably the most expensive card I have. They go for about $30,000 right now. I picked mine up for 14 or 15 last year, I think, or was it this year? I don't remember. So that one's also gone up. And then I have a complete PSA 10 holo set. That one is, I know that's about 100 grand. The most expensive one for sure is the Gengar. This one just sold for $25,000. The second one is my favorite. This is my favorite non-Bulbasaur art card of all time. It's just so cool. It's just, look at that aura. PSA 10 right now goes for like 15K. And then I'll show you guys right here. I actually have 2 PSA 1 through 10 sets of the Skyridge Umbreon. just in general, that card has gone up. I would say, I used to think each set would be $10,000, like each PSA 1 through 10 set would be $10,000. I wouldn't be surprised if each set is like $30,000. Right now, I have the Split Earth in first edition and Unlimited, as well as the English Reverse Holo and just regular common card. And then I also have the Armored Mewtwo and the Latios Lovebirds set. I'm not finished with the Armored Mewtwo. I'm missing 3 and 2, but I have every single one for the Lovebirds, PSA 1 through 10. That one took me a long time to complete because even like the 3s and 2s were $400 or $500 a year ago, which is crazy. I also have the Latios in different languages. So up there's Chinese, Thai, and it's not up there. I actually have an Indian one, which is pretty unique. And then for the Armored Mewtwo, I have 3 PSA 10s. Those were only like $400. Now they go for, I think, over $4,000. The Umbreons, the 2 sets, the Latios, and then the Armored Mewtwo, the estimated value is $115,000 for all 4 sets, combined with the extra stragglers I have. And then on the right of that, I just have a bunch of Van Gogh Pikachus. So 16 of those to fill out a display. Those go for $1,200 or so right now. That one's easily almost $20,000. Below those, we have the tag teams, of course. Everyone loves tag teams. They're pretty much a staple in today's market. Can't go wrong with them. I have one of each. These have really exploded. Of course, the Lovebirds being the most expensive, followed by like Gengar Mimikyu. Pretty much any team up one is giga money. One of the most expensive ones actually is the Reshiram Charizard and the Umbreon Darkrai promos. These go for like $4,000 or $5,000. These go for like $2,000 or $3,000 just because the promos were super hard to grade. For the tag teams right now, market's about $46,000 for those, which is pretty crazy because I remember it being $20,000 as a full set like a year ago. Following that, we have some Japanese promos. I actually just sold, I had a sequential Pretend Boss Pikachu. Someone messaged me and wanted to buy it, so I sold it to them. So I filled it up with some other evolutions. You can't go wrong with the Evolving Skies promo, Flareon, Vaporeon, Jolteon. And these have recently shot up. They're almost about $1,000. And then the rest of the promos, you have the Poncho EVs. Now, I had those for a long time. I am missing one, the Sylveon. That goes for about like $2,000 or so. I think the full set's about $15K. And then down here, you have more. These 2 promos were from the box I showed you guys earlier. And then I have a sequential Ashes Pikachu. That probably goes for about $5,000 or so. I don't think there's any sequentials that have ever sold. Then these are some extras that I had. The next couple promos, these are the more expensive ones. This, the 20th anniversary Festa, the most expensive Festa that they made, goes for well over $15,000 right now, doubled in price from what I got it. I like it because, of course, you got the Bulbasaur right there, but it's just a really nice art. The year after, 2017 Festa, that one's probably just a couple thousand right there. The limited collection Master Battle promos. So you have the Pikachu one, that's like $2,500, and then the Alola Friends, I think they're like $2,500, $3,500. They come in the Master. I actually have some boxes I'll show you guys later, but PSA 10 sequential set for those, about $6, $7K. The Munch promos, a lot of people ask me for these every show. They are very popular, but because of that, they're super, super expensive. Mimikyu being the most expensive. I think a full set goes for like 20, 25K right now. Tag Team All-Stars are one of my favorite sets. So you have the red, green, and blues challenge. They make a nice little trio right there. Erica's Hospitality, I got a PSA 5, I graded that myself, figured I'd keep it. And then this Sightseer, I recently just won in a double or nothing. So free 99, I won that one. This Detective Pikachu used to be like a $40 card. Now it's almost $300 for that one. Insane. As well as these other Pikachu promos, the Mega Tokyo and Mega Campaign. These used to be $300, $400. Now they're $1,400. Same with the Easter's Pikachu. I think that might have eclipsed 1,000 if I'm not mistaken. As well as the Osaka, that was like $500. All of these were like under a couple $100. Altogether, all the Japanese cards is about $90,000. Mainly, this one is taking up like a quarter of it or like a fifth of it. As well as like the other big hitters and the Munches, but a little under 100K for that set right there. Over here, we have the extra PSA 1 gold stars that I had. So I have a couple of the Espions. Those are super pricey, so I'm glad I have a couple of those. Kyogre, big fan. Some of them I graded, some of them I just picked up and stashed away. Right above those gold stars are some miscellaneous cards. I just kind of kept, they're pretty niche, but I like them. They don't really belong anywhere, so I just kind of stuck them all together. Latios, Plasma Freeze, one of my favorite Latios cards. 3.5, I paid a couple $100 for that. Pikachu, the Radiant Collection. This one really spiked many thousands of dollars now. But when I got it, it was like $600. Noble Victories Meowth, as well as the Execute. These are some secret rares from Black and White. PSA 10, they're pretty hard to grade, and Black and White's going up right now. Pikachu Figure Collection, that one is harder to grade because of the promo and how it was set in there. So lower pop, and it goes for a couple $100. The McDonald's Japanese promos are going crazy right now. This card's over $4,000. The Bubblegum Squirtle. Like I said earlier, they did do the Squirtle and Charmander in a holo, but they did not do Bulbasaur. I believe there's 6 holos total. I only have 3 of them. Pikachu's a couple thousand. Larvitar's like $300-400. The Karen's Umbreon, one of the best. This one's a Japanese exclusive. They never made this in English. Goes for over $7,000 now. The Tropical Tidal Wave Staff, I have absolutely no idea what it goes for. I got it at a show, and it was pretty rare, pretty cool, and I decided to keep it for myself. If I had to guess, it's probably like $2,000. These cards, I got this card pretty cheap, like $100-150, but they're the promos for the Mythical Generations pin collections, and they're very hard to grade, and they now go for thousands of dollars. This one, I know the Mew goes for a lot. I'm not too sure on this one, but it's at least a 1,000. Above it, like I said earlier, I'm a big Empoleon fan. I also do like Piplup. This one's a pretty rare low pop Legendary Treasures Piplup PSA 10 reverse holo. I think that one's super cool. If I had to guess, that one's probably at least 1,000 right there. Empoleon Break. I don't think break cards are really that popular. I think they're kind of like the Legend halves. I think they're pretty cool. This one was only a couple $100 in a 10, and they're low pop. Didn't mind picking that up because it's a cool Pokemon that I like. These were super nice. Primal Clash full arts, also pretty rare. I just bought that on eBay for like $500. I think it's worth a little bit more. This one last sold for like $150, but similar to that one, it's got to be like, I don't know, $300-400. Now, in today's market, I wouldn't sell it for that. I think it's worth more. I actually got this for free as well as a double or nothing flip. Above it, we have the XY full arts as well as some megas. Now this is the bread and butter of today. It's the bee's knees in today's market with Mega Evolution coming up, the new set. All megas have been absolutely pumping. So I'll start off with these. These are the full art breakpoints. A couple $1,000. Here's like $1,500, $1,000, and maybe like $300. Mega Sceptile EX, I paid, I think, over $1,000. I got this one recently. This one's got to go for a couple grand right now in today's market. Mega Gardevoir EX also. I think every single Mega is over $1,000 right now. I have a Mega Glalie, which is probably one of the cheapest Megas you can get. That one's $700. Mega Alakazam, and that's in my inventory. Mega Alakazam EX, probably $1,000. This one, I did a $0 or $600 coin flip, and I lost, paid $600, and that one still paid off because that one's over $1,000, or maybe it's like $800-900. Mega Lucario is probably a couple thousand right now. I picked up these 2 Primal Kyogre and Groudon EX for $1,300-ish, $1,200-1,300 each a couple of months ago. Now these go for about $4,000 a piece. The Rayquaza is going absolutely insane as well. I don't have that one, unfortunately, but I did pick up the Mega Mewtwo EX. These also probably go for about $2,500 a piece. And then last but not least, they're not megas, but they are the XY secret rares, the golden ones. So again, Mewtwo EX, also couple grand. Gardevoir EX and Alakazam EX, also a couple thousand. The most expensive one from that kind of era, the Mewtwo Shining Legends Secret PSA 10. I got a couple of those. I kept these when they were like $400, $500. One of them I got for $700, but right now they go for, I think they still go for about $4,000 in today's market. And then some more full arts to finish it off. Breakpoint, Gyarados, and Ho-Oh EX. Those are probably like $500 or so. And then at the top, I have some regular full art EXs. The Primal Kyogre Groudon. Those are lower pop ones. Pretty cool. I would say at least $1,000 for that pair. Everything else is probably just like a couple $100s. They're nothing crazy. They're just like the regular ultra rare PSA 10s, but they're lower pop, harder to grade, so still a couple $100 each. All right, we're coming to the end of the slab wall. Just a couple left. This last bottom corner right here is literally just a bunch of random stuff that didn't fit. They're just kind of niche. Everything here is probably less than like $2,000. I have some of the Tag Team All-Star Gold Tag Teams. These were exclusive to Japanese, except for the Pikachu Zekrom. So those are nice. I don't think they're too expensive. A couple $100 a piece. Level X's, because the English level X's are so crazy, Japanese level X's are a lot more affordable, especially in a 10. So these are just some of the cooler arts that I picked up. Blaziken, one of my favorite ones. Rayquaza, can't go wrong. And then you have the Spoon Boy that was expensive in English. Pretty popular cards right now, especially the one fighting the Crown Zenith Mewtwo. But it's the Charizard UPC PSA 10 set. But this one's actually sequential, which is very hard to find. So a premium there for sure. These Giratina full arts I have. But the funny story is I had one of them. And then I bought one on Instagram, and when I got the other one in, they're matching their sequential certs. What are the odds that they are the sequential cert come from two completely different people? This is the Indian, I actually have a Gengar Mimikyu too. Indian Gengar Mimikyu and Latios. Those are super cool, very rare. I paid a couple $1,000 though for those, but you know, I'm only a couple languages away from having like, I think every single one. That's a pretty cool one, can't go wrong. Another Empoleon Plasma Freeze. I'm working on a 1 through 10 set for this next. Then we have the rainbows. I actually am a fan of the rainbows. I've always been. They're actually some of the most not hated, but most people don't like the rainbows. I speak from experience. They are not popular at all. Maybe they will be nowadays, but who knows? They are going up a little bit in price, so I'm glad to see they get a little bit of love. The most popular ones have to for sure be the tag teams. It's literally all the tag teams you know and love, just in rainbow form. I have all the evolutions here, so it's the same art as Hidden Fates, if you're familiar with those. But again, in rainbow form, so Espeon, Umbreon, Glaceon, Leafeon, Sylveon. This Mimikyu is pretty rare. I like getting the full arts when I can of the single Pokemon. I think this rainbow style is just a little bit more vibrant than the current one or the newer like VMAX I'll show y'all later. This Gardevoir is probably one of the more expensive ones. I just picked this up last weekend. I paid like $700 for it just because it's a little harder to grade. You have Latios, Gyarados, and then these are, like I said, the more modern ones, Snorlax. And if you compare, these are a little bit more rainbowy compared to like the more subtle fade of the original ones. All the rainbows, all in all, is about $18,000 for the ones I have currently. And then last but not least, on my slab wall, you have the Diamond and Pearl Shinings. They're pretty niche. I just did a short with this one with the Ponytail with the 8. I need that one in a 9, and I need a Vulpix in a 9. And I will have all 12? Yeah, all 12 of them available, as well as the newer Shinings, not like the Neo Shinings, but these were the Sun and Moon. Some of them were promos, some of them you got in Shining Legends, the most expensive being the Lugia and Rayquaza, and the Mew to follow. My favorite one was always the Arceus, but all 9 of those Shinings, probably, they're not too expensive, a couple $100 each. I would say less than $5 grand for the entire set. So that pretty much wraps up the wall slab. Here's my little bit of seal that I have out. That binder right here is the one someone gave me, and I fill it with all the cards people give me at the shows. You got another one of the tins here. You have a sealed EV Heroes Gym, Celebrations UPC. I have the shelf that I built. I bought a sealed collection from some guy, and he had a bunch of these like Mega Latios collection, Mega Mewtwo. So I have those all underneath that fit. They're pretty cool, probably a couple $100 each. This is the limited collection Master Battle set I was talking about that had the 2 promos. Those go for about $3,000 or so. I have 2 of those. I have all my unsealed, opened Mario Pikachu and Poncho Pikachu boxes. They look pretty cool whenever you put 2 side by side or on top of each other because they're like an extended art. I really like how they look. I have a lot, but I don't have enough to fill out the entire row. Underneath you have, like I said, the Pin collections, these are the generations red and blue. You have the Blastoise, the Venusaur, the Charizard, and the Pikachu. Those have spiked so much. For once upon a time, I could not get rid of them. I wanted to sell them so badly and no one would take them. Now everyone wants them, especially the promos. And then last at the end, I have the Mega Mewtwo X and Y collection boxes. That's pretty much it for my room collection. I will go through, these are the cases I bring to my shows. I'm actually super low on inventory right now. My one case isn't full. I usually bring two. But I will go through what I have currently and then we'll add that up as well, just to kind of show you the stuff that I'm bringing to shows these days. And then I will also show you guys my non-Pokemon stuff after we do that, but let's go add those up. Now I'm going to show you guys what I bring to the show. It's pretty much a little bit of everything. It's not really ordered, so we're just going to go through and just to give you an idea of the type of stuff and quantity that I bring. So starting off, we have some of the bigger cards. I have some vintage 10s. These do okay. They're like hit or miss because they'll take a while to sell, but they are very expensive, and usually when the right person comes, they'll be able to pick them up. You got some sequential EXs. The EX10, same kind of story. They don't move fast, but when they do, they usually command a premium because they're so hard. This one, for example, sells for about $5,000 because they're so popular right now. I mean, look at this. A 9 Charizard is $2 grand. EXs, some of these are duplicates that I have. They're actually a lot more popular than they used to be. I got these. These are pretty cool. They're like the EX, but the championship ones, so the non-holo version, a lot cheaper than the actual ones. And then a couple EX10s I just picked up, Blastoise, Venusaur. These do okay. Of course, you have the Poncho Pikachus. These are going crazy at the moment. I only have one, but when I do get them, they move pretty quickly. Gold stars, these are super hot. All grades, whether it's a 1 or a 10. I got a pretty unique one right here, 2.5, pop 3. So try to have some gold stars when you can. They'll always do well. I graded these myself, the black and white Zekrom, and I had some Reshurams. I actually graded a 10 myself, and I sold it before it boomed. Now they go for like 7,000 or so. Korokoro Mew, that's a really nice popular card. Moonbreon, Beckett 10, so it's a popular card, but it's a harder grade to sell that commands a premium. So they don't sell as often, but they're worth a lot more, and it's very eye-catching. This one I got recently, it's the Skyridge Mysterious Mountains Japanese Gengar PSA 10 with the English going for $25,000, getting the Japanese for a third or fourth of the price. Pretty solid pickup. Poncho Pikachus are like Pikachu promos in general. Everyone's searching, even the Chinese one are picking up steam. But the Japanese ones, the half arts, those are always good as well. Got a couple modern ones, Vaporeon VMAX. The alt arts generally do well. Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield are the best ones. So like the tag teams are good. Even in 9, they're worth more than Raw in 9 at this point because they're not as modern. Then you have some random ones, but Terrapagos and then a Blaine's. These don't do as well, but because they're harder to grade and a 10 and they're relatively cheap for what they are, I like to have them just because there are some vintage collectors out there, but they're not the most popular. For vintage, I generally don't like having vintage unless they're like 10s or at least kind of like sought after higher grades like this Lugia 9, because a 10 is very expensive, so getting a 9 for most people is more reasonable. Another Terrapagos. I like to have I have a whole like case of Charizards because Charizard is a very popular Pokemon. They tend to do okay, but some stuff like this is pretty niche. It's an expensive team up card, but it's basically a common, you know, like a bulk card, so it's a little harder to move those. Same story with the Moonbreon BGS 10. This is almost double the price of a PSA. They do actually sell for that, but it's harder to find someone to pay this when I have like a PSA 10 right next to it. Having some mid-era stuff, Megas are hot right now. Again, the tag teams. This one's really cool, Radiant Collection PSA 10. Having unique niche items like these that people are searching for that not necessarily you might be able to find at the show is always good to have because it makes you stand out a little bit more. Some duplicates of the Poncho Pikachus. This one I graded myself. 9.5 Beckett. This is kind of a weird thing because it's close to a 10, but it's like far from the 10 value. You have to find someone that likes the 9.5s. They're not as popular, but they are worth more than, of course, like a PSA 9. So just got to try and find someone that wants to get as close as they can to a 10 without actually paying the 10. Same thing, another Team Skull. These are pretty popular as well. Shining Gyarados. Shinings are kind of like if Gold Stars are S tier, Shinings are like pretty much A tier. Very iconic cards, especially the more popular ones. Charizard, Gyarados. Got some more shinings over here. Like I said, T-Tar, Gyarados, Raichu. So having first edition 10, you won't sell them as often, but like I said, you probably won't find a lot of these at a show. So having those unique cards really helps you stand out. More Japanese promos in general are just always hot. Now these are pretty popular. You'll probably find a lot of them throughout the show, but I just happen to have a couple of those. No particular reason. The Lily, I've had this for so long, so many copies. I think I still have 3 or 4. One of the better cards, but right now full art trainers aren't doing the best. I've had this one for a couple shows. It doesn't do that well. Another very unique piece, having these rare low pop promo cards that are super unique, high grade. And then I have, of course, crystals. Crystals are pretty much right there with gold stars. This one's a unique one, 6.5. So pop 2. This is for anyone that really wants a unique Charizard piece. Can't go wrong with the crystals. Got some more Japanese promos, the Luigi half arts, more gold stars. This one's a little bit more unique. I usually don't deal with autos because they're hard to move. This one is not autoed on the card. It's actually just autoed on the slab. So the card itself is the same as a PSA 9. So it is unique to try and sell it, but it's not as hard as a real auto because this is pretty much just PSA 9 price plus a little premium, and it has a nice swirl. So that one's nice. A Van Gogh Pikachu, I sell a couple of these every single show. It's a staple, can't go wrong with them, always need those. Latios Lovebird, I really like this for myself, as you guys saw earlier, one of my favorite cards. BGS 10 is a lot lower pop than PSA, and it really attracts people to the table. It's eye-catching, you don't see many of these often, but it is a very expensive piece. Another Shining 10 to go along with others. I don't normally have BGS 10 promos, but you know when I do, they are nice, they are eye-catching. They're just a little bit harder to sell, but they're again worth more than PSA. And then some Japanese vintage. I try to have a little bit of something for everyone. This is some special delivery Pikachu promos. PSA 9, these have gone up. Some more Lily duplicates, and then some cheaper cards, PSA 10, so like Lost Origin illustrations, or some of the cheaper alt arts from Sword and Shield. Some promos there. Base set 2 Charizard. This one's cooler because you can get the swirls on them, but I always have a couple of base set Zard arts. Some more Pikachu promos. This one I just picked up, I traded. CD promo Charizard. These are very iconic. A lot of people search for these, surprisingly, at the show. So this is part of like that Charizard stack I was talking about earlier. I try to have a variety. Right here you got the Vivid Voltage Staff one. Japanese base set 1.5, some more unique ones. I've started seeing more half grades, and I've been picking up because they are unique. So people that just don't want a regular version of the card, some low pop half grades is a way to go. Shadowless Zard as well. I think that's it for the Zardies, but then some cheaper Japanese alt arts, Paldean Fate's Mimikyu. All right, some more cards, modern staples, Sunbreon. It's always nice to have Sunbreon, Moonbreon, like the more popular alt arts. You'll probably see like hundreds of them throughout the show. It does help you close deals for people that want it and don't necessarily want to go walk around trying to find the best deal. You can just give them a good deal, they'll just buy yours. Here is an error card. I don't typically have errors too often, but this also goes into that niche category. You want to have a good blend of niche stuff that people really like that they didn't even know they wanted. Just, add to their kind of wish list along with other popular staples, so like Sunbreon, Moonbreon, so that they have something to trade for or buy just in case they're not into that niche stuff. Cheaper stuff like this, V-Star Universe. This is all more vintage stuff. So Shadowless 9 Venusaur, first edition 9 Venusaur. So basically the base set holos, the OGs in first edition. Some WotC promos. This Mew I've had for a long time. It keeps going up. Nice swirl and a 10. And then I've had the starter trios for such a long time. This is the last one I have, the Ivysaur first edition PSA 10. These are harder cards to move because it's the only people looking for these are kind of like set collectors or like really diehard Ivysaur fans, which there aren't that many of. And then of course, regular first ed, you're just trying to search for the nostalgic people. They're not too popular. I've had them every show. They don't really get that many eyes. The Rayquaza PSA 9, this is a Heart Gold Soul Silver era, 2011. These holos are getting a little bit more appreciation. Full art trainers, I don't have too many. Again, they're not that popular these days, especially the English ones. Now, of course, the tag teams, you can't go wrong with any tag team. Just being a tag team these days is popular. Naganadel Guzzlord is definitely not a very sought after one, but because it's a tag team, it's expensive. Like I said earlier, Megas, currently with the Mega Evolution set, these are exploding right now. This is like a $700 card when it normally would be like $100. Mega Glalie, not many Glalie collectors, but simply because it's a Mega, it's expensive. 151, you can't go wrong. Someone's gonna want 151 at the show. More tag teams, the Mew, Mewtwo promos. Gengar Prime BGS9, that one's a nice one, a little bit more unique. These are also becoming more popular. I like having the primes, but of the sought after Pokemon. So Gengar, Espeon, Umbreon, like those Tyranitar, those primes are good. Base set Zardy, gotta have those. More Japanese in general, if it is not an exclusive, is pretty good if it is cheaper than English, because it offers people an alternative that is usually a lot cheaper than English, and like in the case of these Megas, just have a better texture in general. So these are kind of an option for those just looking for on a budget for the same card, but they are not as popular as English. Vintage, to me, again, doesn't do that well unless they're popular Pokemon in decent grades, at least like 8 or 9. So like right there, you have the same Neo Lugia in an 8. The birds in any form, the glass birds being the most popular. Tag team, you have the alt arts. These are pretty cool. These are kind of the middle-ish, high-ish tier of alt arts under that $1,000 range, but they're still pretty cool, very popular. I get asked about these two at the shows quite often. I like to have a couple of these. They're cool looking cards, Japanese promos, but they don't really break the bank in a PSA 10. These are pretty cool. I sell a couple of these every show. They're just like an introduction for slabs for some people, and it's a good art. I picked these up at the show. I mean, having new sets, SIRs, they don't really move if I'm honest, but I just got it because it's worth anyways. Some sets, these are kind of unique stuff. These probably wouldn't do that well, but it's the Tapu set PSA 10, almost sequential. These are very niche. You just gotta find someone that really likes Tapus. I have one single one-piece card just cause I bought it in a collection. These are the type of stuff we give away at the shows. Cheaper SIRs like these do well too. You have some Japanese, not exclusive, but pretty much because the English version of this would be very hard to find. So super cool art. Same deal here with the modern stuff, just more good staples for those. Another example of a cheaper Japanese alternative. Oh, right here, all of these. Like these Charizards are half the price of English and objectively are a lot shinier and look cooler. So a good budget version. That was pretty much all the bangers. These are kind of, I would say the remaining stuff are all sub 100 or around under 200. I like to have smaller cards for people because not everyone's spending thousands of dollars on cards, and since I mainly deal with slabs, not singles, I have to have cheaper slabs for people as well. Just kind of, I'll have some cooler cards, lower grades for stuff that I know will sell. Stuff like this is what I'm trying to stay away from right now, just because while they might be good value, they do sit for a while. Not many people are looking to shell out $260 for a first edition Dark Magneton. Same for any modern PSA 9 alt art. You're pretty much just going to get, unless for some reason there's a reason it's hard to grade, you're pretty much going to get a raw value. So I wouldn't spend too much time on PSA 9s unless you're collecting them for yourself. And then, oh, well, I have one random first edition Bulbasaur. These are shooting up. I think they're only really popular for me because, of course, I mean, Bulbasaurs at my booth do well, but again, having smaller cards is good for everyone. For example, like these amazing rare Rayquazas, I sold a couple of these because it's a cheaper version of a popular card. It's kind of what you want to go for. It's just got to be a nice looking card. Tag teams again, another Stamp Pikachu. Let's see. More tag teams, 151 Zardy. This one is, I will sell or trade one of these every single show. Someone's going to want a 151 Zard. Rainbows don't do too well. I think they're going up more so for the tag teams, but consensus is most people don't like rainbows, so they don't sell as well. This is another example of the amazing rare. Good Pokemon, cheap price. Banned cards are unique because people just like having banned stuff, but it's very niche because if you don't know what it is, you're not going to want to spend $1,000 for it. And then again, Pikachu promos that are unique will do well. On to the last stack. These also move. I actually saw a lot of these, the Terastal, Eevees. it's a lot better to buy these for 70, 80 bucks compared to the hundreds of dollars for the English. They look good, so very budget friendly. Everyone loves the prismatic arts. These have gone up insane, especially the Kingdra. These are starting to become more popular. I hoarded a couple of these, but before they weren't that crazy. Getting modern BGS 10 alt arts is a little bit of a risk because this goes for almost double PSA 10 and it will sit for a long time. So it's kind of a risk reward of you trying to find someone that's willing to pay that much more for a BGS 10 than a PSA 10. So I would sell 10 PSA 10s before I sold this one, but it's for that true collector that really wants that premium one. Oh, Pokemon Center promos PSA 10 to me are very hard to sell. I've had the Charmander ones for so long. They sit because it's very hard to justify to someone spending 10x the price because of the Pokemon Center label. For example, the Charmander one, I used to sell the regular ones for like $150, and then the Pokemon Center was $1,500. And when people had them right next to each other, I would tell them all the time. I would explain the difference is literally just like that. So they would always buy the cheaper version. It's only for someone that wants to get like highest rarity or is doing a Pokemon Center set, but they are in general pretty hard to sell. So I try not to get them any more. Lesson learned there. Vintage Pikachu promos are kind of hit or miss. I think this one in particular is pretty cool. I mean, I just picked this up, so I'm not too sure how it will do. I would assume it does really well, but they do look nice. They are just a tad expensive. Japanese, again, similar to the Pikachu promos. These are a little bit more expensive. They're good to get, but they don't move. They're not super liquid. A lot of them are old cert too, especially these. Because they're old cards, a lot of them are graded a long time ago. Here is a black label Giratina V-Star. So Japanese black labels are a lot more common than English black labels because the quality is a lot better. They're a bit harder to move because, I mean, the premium, again, is so high compared to like a PSA 10 or even a regular BGS 10. So really only black label collectors pick these up, and there's not that many out there, but they do make the table look nicer and fit into that niche category. We have this card I just picked up, the Trophy Kangaskhan. Now these kind of cards I take big risks on. They don't sell often and the comps are very hard. You kind of have to guess based on solds, listings, what's available. But these cards, you kind of ask whatever you want. An item is worth whatever someone's willing to pay. So I just have to find someone willing to pay a lot of money for it. These are gambles. They can be paid off, but you have to tie up a lot of money and be patient to potentially get your reward later on. I also forgot to mention all the singles that I have. So a lot of people at the show, if you come by, you know that I don't sell singles anymore. Doesn't mean I still have them. I have been accumulating all the singles from the show since the beginning of the year for a project that is coming soon. You guys will hear about, but right here is about over $140,000 of modern alt arts, anywhere from Scarlet and Violet all the way Sun and Moon, tag teams, alt arts, prismatic god packs. I have like 30 Charizards in here. Nothing but, here, let me try and show you guys. Literally anywhere you go, it's just all alt arts. I have a couple of, look, there's some tag teams in there, some special deliveries. You have the Evolving Skies. So this is all safe for a project coming soon. Stay tuned for that, but everything here is over $140,000, and there's actually some more that doesn't fit. To wrap up the video, I will show you my non-Pokemon collection. So I recently got into sports. I'm a big basketball fan, so on the top row I have all my Steph Curry cards. The most expensive ones I have right now would definitely be that 2019 Spectra, this 2021 Downtown, as well as my 2021 Kaboom. Actually, the manga is pretty expensive as well. This one's about 20,000. That one's about 15,000. Kaboom's about 10. This one's so rare. If I had to guess it now in today's market with how everything's going, 20K plus. Everything else is around anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. So I've been going into Curry just because I think he's an iconic player, one of my favorites for sure. My actual #1 favorite player is Kyrie Irving. Also wanted to get his Downtowns. I have a couple of his rookie prisms, PSA 10, BGS 10, some Color Blast. And by proxy of being a Kyrie fan, I'm also a LeBron fan. So I have a couple of the cards of them playing together. as well as a couple of Color Blast and Kaboom of him by himself. Sports cards right here are kind of like Pokemon right now. They're having a really big boom. I would say everything is about $150,000 for the sports cards. Down here, we have my Yu-Gi-Oh! Row. I grew up playing Yu-Gi-Oh! It was the first card game I ever played. So, of course, I did have the OG, the Legend of Blue Eyes, Red Eyes, Black Dragon. Got a couple of those. Actually traded for them. It was like $1,500 for the pair. GX, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, right after that, Cyber Dragons were just so cool to me. So I had to pick up the most expensive one, the first edition Ultimate Rare PSA 10. That one's about $3 grand. And then the Ghost Rare and the Secret Rare are probably only like a couple $100. My favorite era, 5Ds, the Ghost Rares are some of the coolest rarities in any card game, period. I just really like how they designed those. So we have the Stardust Dragon, Blackwing Dragon. At this point, I'm trying to get all of them. So I have unlimited PSA 10. That goes for about $3,500. I have two of them. There's one in the back. The Blackwing Dragon's a little over $1,000 right now. We have Black Rose in an Ultimate Rare, first edition PSA 10. That goes for $3,000 or so. And then I have the unlimited in the back, which is like $500. And the Piece de Resistance. My favorite card is Black Rose Dragon, but the best one, first edition PSA 10. Widely considered the absolute rarest card you can get in Yu-Gi-Oh! That you can pull from like an actual pack because it was so rare. It was only available from a couple tins, and those tins came with like 2 packs. And the Ghost Rares are super hard to pull, and not on top of that, it's very hard to grade. So there's not that many copies in the world. This one is about $17,000, and I have a plethora of unlimited PSA 10s right behind it, 7 to be exact, as well as a PSA 9. The 10s go for $1,600, $2,000 each. But yeah, this is my favorite card of all time. I still need to get the Stardust first edition. That one goes for about $18,000 as well. To pair it up on this bottom row, I have some Weiss Schwarz. So the Black Label Mikasa set. They're already signatured by, or signed, I should say, by the Japanese voice actor. I got these 3 signed by the English one as well, so they're signed by both. ReZero Trial Deck Amelia. This one's very expensive. This one's probably about $6,000. I don't think it changed that much. This set, I have absolutely no idea. Maybe like $3,000, $4,000 for that one. I have Rias High School DxD. If you know, you know. That one I got combined. It was a package deal I had to get. I think that one goes for $3,000, $4,000. And then this last one was just a random BlizzCon Legacy. It's not worth much, like $100. But I do have, if you're a StarCraft fan, I have the 1/1 Kerrigan, which to me is priceless, but it's probably like, I don't know, $1,000. And some Maple Story booster boxes. This is probably the game that showed me how to buy, sell, and trade. And the fact that it has a card game. These are pretty rare. They're old. But they're not too, I'd say they're all like $500 per booster box. I just thought it was pretty cool. I got a couple other booster box. One Piece Romance Dawn Blue Bottom. That's like the first edition base set box of that game. I got a V-Card Rising Stars and other versions. These two were free for me. So I kept those. They're like also the first edition of those games. Everything in this display is probably at least like $200,000 to add onto our final total, which will be somewhere on the screen. So now the final breakdown, I added everything into the collector app, and here are the values for each category it gave me on the screen. The biggest one is the sealed, which was $242,969. Now, this one did not include some of the sealed cases and other products that I had just stored away in a closet. And it was not able to add like the blister packs. So I just added regular booster packs. So it should be a little bit higher than that number, but we'll just keep it as is for now. So all of that, plus we're going to add in 300-ish thousand of show inventory. I try to have anywhere from $250,000 to $350,000. Right now, I was a little short on quantity, but I did not add those Black and White and Phantom Forces booster boxes. That was probably $40,000, $50,000 in inventory as well. Plus the $160,000 of the sports plus a Weiss combo. And then last but not least, my little briefcase of singles that was over 140 grand. And the grand total of everything combined is a staggering $1.78 million. And it's as crazy as that is, it actually is probably higher because again, it was not tracking all of the sealed properly with the blister premium. I didn't add a bunch of the extra miscellaneous stuff I had, like a Crystal Guardians raw master set. I have an almost complete graded Skyridge master set. I didn't include any of that or any of the smaller stuff I have. And then the EX like reverse holos, they're so hard to value. Sometimes it would be tracked as like $50, $40 when, you know, they're clearly going for a couple hundred. Either way, it is a crazy number nonetheless. That pretty much wraps up the video, guys. Just like last time, am I a little bit wary of having that much invested in this product? Again, it is my business, but it's more of a store of capital in case I want to do anything down the line, like open up a card shop, do my own card shows, etc., etc. I could use that capital for the future. But just that number is insane, out of my mind. Did not think in a million years I would be in this position. It is thanks to you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Maybe you saw something that got inspired if you didn't know about certain items before. But again, I just want to say thank you so much for watching as always. I do appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a great day. If you did enjoy it, please consider giving it a like and hitting that subscribe button. Also, if you're interested in bonus footage and early access to rough cut vendor POVs and other videos, then consider becoming a member down below next to the subscribe button. It's a great way to support the channel as well as getting extra perks. Shout out to our YouTube members. So for our Solar Beam supporters, we have Michael W, Sticky Bjork, Zam, Bitter Beings, Rodriguez, RJPJ, Lasse Kronborg, It's Dave, Adrian, Nick C, Sylvius, and Pokecat, and our Razor Leaf members, Izzy, Will B, Liz Sawyer, Nick Musica, Poketrainer Pat, Darkest Bull, Chasing Celebi, Chris Culver, Lamageddon316, ZMY11, Scott Reynolds, Dokley, Flaccid Shrimp, Slothy Arrow, Todd Scott, Kevin's Barbecue Joints, Fireman Waggle, and the Sickness X. Thank you guys. I really do appreciate your support, and thank you all for watching. I hope y'all have a great day.